See, friends help us to interpret life's events because we can't interpret them by ourselves. Friends help us with solutions because we didn't think of these kinds of things. And friends bring their experience to us and show us that experience and then say, does anything here help you? Experiences that you and I haven't had. They help us with our troubles. And I can remember, I thought very odd, but it was an early lesson in human relationships. My mother and Rosemary talking about their husbands. Those men. And I learned that there's something about being a man that I better pay attention to, because these women talk a lot about those men, Mr. Tomasetti and Mr. Hanley. So when the Message translation, when I read that before the service, getting ready for the sermon, and I saw that the translator uses the word friend for Holy Spirit, it opened up something very different for me in terms of where to take this sermon. The Holy Spirit as friend. Now, most of you learned in confirmation class or somewhere along the line that there is a Holy Spirit, and that Holy Spirit has something to do with our life as a Christian. But I'm not sure that if I passed out a theological test today, many of you would do very well with the idea of the Holy Spirit. What does the Holy Spirit do? Where did the Holy Spirit come from? Why am I waiting for the Holy Spirit? What effect does it have on my daily life? What did Jesus say about it? Was there a Holy Spirit in the Old Testament? I could ask you these questions and raise your hands, but I don't want to embarrass anybody, including myself for that matter. But the Holy Spirit, when we look at this translation, is not a lofty theological concept. The Holy Spirit as friend is someone close to our hearts. It's an image that everyone understands almost immediately. If you say the Holy Spirit is the friend that Jesus sends to us, you have an image immediately. I have the Holy Spirit looking like Alan Anderson, who's my great and dear friend. You have somebody else that you could picture. When Jesus says, I am sending you this friend. And these images of a close relationship and help in hard times are images that you either have with you or you wish you had. If you don't have a friend like that, you wish you had a friend like that. And if you deny the fact that that would be important to you, I think you, in fact, are living in denial. And when we picture the idea of a friend, we are also filled with memories, which is one of the works of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is brought to us to help us to remember. Remember those times when God reached out to you. Remember those times when you felt the presence of God like nothing before. Remember the things that Jesus said and how he acted with people. Remember those stories of comfort and healing. Those stories of bringing new meaning to people who had completely lost the sense of meaning of life. The stories of bringing peace of mind and a presence when we are so disturbed. Is that what we need and desire? I'll tell you, I think it's absolutely what we need and desire. And when it's absent, as it is in so many people's lives, there is a loss there, an emptiness, a vacancy that can't be filled in any other way. And often I've heard people say, life's agenda is just too much. One person said to me, I've decided I can afford 3 friends. I said, what do you mean, like financially? No, time-wise. I can afford to be friends to 3 people. But, there's a guy at work that wants to be a friend of mine, and there's this all, blah, 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 and I got too many friends. I just laughed, and the guy left the office, so I don't think I was too helpful to him that day. But at any rate, we think that life's agenda allows us only so much. And I think that's the way we think about church, too. There's only so much of the Holy Spirit I can take. And the Holy Spirit fills me up too much. I don't know what I would do with it. And this Holy Spirit thing, what if I open myself to the Holy Spirit and things start to happen? Which, of course, is what's promised. If I open myself to the Holy Spirit and things start to happen, what will I do? When Pentecost came, the church started, and it grew all the time, and it kept growing. In this little obscure place with no advertising and no television and no media and no brochures and no pass-out Gideon Bibles, this church grew and grew and grew and grew, and new churches came up, and people were gathering all over the place. Is it true today? How come the pews aren't full every Sunday? How come we don't have a building committee saying, oh, we got to push out this wall and get another 50 seats? How come churches are closing? 2 more churches in Worcester are closing this year, United Church of Christ parishes. Both of them way over 100 years old. They're closing this year. Do people expect that people are going to hear this message? If you talked about friendship, if we had a sign outside that said, by some mystical, magical thing, your best friend is in this church on Sunday morning. This is a friendship church in the deepest possible sense, not some superficial thing that a lot of people think about. If we could somehow convince that people that that was true, you think these people driving by every once in a while, someone would say, I've got to go there. I really have to have a sincere and deep friendship. My life is going in a direction, I need someone like that. I always have resisted the idea that parents should be friends. And I know that's kind of a cliche, but a lot of parents say to their child, well, I want to be your friend too. I think that's wrong. A parent is something else. A parent is what a child needs to be, is a parent, not a friend. But a child and a grown-up also need friends that you can say things to. Because when you tell something to your parent, those of you who can tell them this, or when you remember that you could tell them this, what did your parent think about? Am I a good father? Am I a good mother? Why is she worrying about this? Why is he going in that direction? There's a whole nother agenda here. A friend doesn't have that agenda. And God doesn't have that agenda. Somebody told me something, I could never tell that to God. Oh, I could never confess that to God. Like God doesn't know already? The confession is for you. It's not for God. And somehow that's going to open you up. And somehow God is going to work with you because you're going to lay this out and say, God, please, I can't control this. I can't do anything about it. Just forgive me. Just help me go in a new direction.